Hello, welcome to Tier Nerd, and I'm going to be reviewing and tiering anime that start with the letter D. Except this is part two. In this, for the second half of anime that start with the letter D, I'm just going to do it on Digimon and Dragon Ball because these franchises, there's quite a bit to say about them. Yeah, let's start with Dragon Ball. Actually, let's do it this way. So I'll do it in order of release. So for Dragon Ball, I have four right here. I have Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. And then for Digimon, I think I'm gonna have them in order. Let's try to get them in order. The first four seasons, and then I'm also going to be doing it on two of the movies. Um, Yeah, this image here got messed up. This is actually supposed to be Digimon Try. I don't know what happened to the image, but this is Digimon Try, and this is the last evolution movie. But anyway, yeah. So Digimon, I split up into six, and there's reasons for that. So so normally I don't cover the movies like for Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, any of these franchises that are very popular, and they have a lot of these spin-off movies. Like Dragon Ball Z has like 13 or 15 movies. I generally don't cover them because in general, movies based off of long-running anime are generally like not canon, and they're kind of generic and not interesting. Like they just don't ever really add much to the story. Most of them I would just rank as C tier. Like most DBZ, One Piece, Naruto movies, they're just kind of like whatever. Like they're usually C tier. Maybe if they're a little better, they're B tier. Very rarely would I rank them A or S tier. Like I don't think I've like S tier, probably never. On the rare occasion, maybe an A tier. But once in a while, sometimes the movies are special. In certain cases, I will also review the movie if I feel like it's a really good movie or it adds a lot to the story or something. Then I'll make that a separate entry. But so for Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super, I'm just leaving the movies out. Any specials, OVAs, none of that. I'm not really covering that. I'm just covering the main anime itself. So first we have Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, is it A tier? I can't decide if it's B or A. Um, I think it's solid. Like I watched it a few years back. Like as a kid, I remember watching it on on TV back, in English, on Toonami, that. And like these days, all of my anime is subbed. I watch all my anime subbed. Like I pretty much don't watch dubs at all. Like I just don't do it. Subs completely, 100%. But Dragon Ball is one of those, but anime that I watched as a kid, obviously, being English. So Dragon Ball, as a kid, I watched in English. Didn't never really finished it. As an adult, just a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to watch the whole thing, all of Dragon Ball from the beginning, and in Japanese, and I enjoyed it. And um, I couldn't for a long time I couldn't watch Dragon Ball. Like I watched it as a kid and that's it. I just stopped. And then recently, like I said, 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to just watch all of it. I watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. I watched all of it. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And even now as an adult, I still think it's pretty good. It's not, I used to think it was kind of a kiddie anime. Anything I watched when I was elementary school, pretty much I just didn't watch it when I got older. I just felt like it was just wasn't interesting anymore. But I recently started watching Dragon Ball and it was good. So I think A tier. It just definitely deserves, I think, A tier, maybe like lower A tier, but it's solid. Dragon Ball Z, I probably rank it a little higher. Although Dragon Ball Z has a lot more action. It's the famous one. Goku goes Super Saiyan and just all these memorable events and like Dragon Ball Z is famous. Like obviously, like I can't. It's cliche, very generic, very drawn out. It has the same, it just dragged out the story ridiculous amounts, and it was very annoying as a kid. because on TV it's like barely anything happened, and I would have to wait for like the next day or the next week to watch the next episode, and nothing was happening. It felt so long. But now, as an adult, I can just watch it on on the internet. Like I could just watch it all at once, and the fact that it's super slow wasn't as annoying because I could just watch it all at once. Like I didn't have to wait a day or the next week to watch it. So those the things that annoyed me as a kid, they're not as bad now, obviously, because you can just watch it all at once. So Dragon Ball Z is famous. I mean, no doubt, like that this anime is what brought anime to America. Like Dragon Ball Z is probably the gateway anime for a lot of kids. Like a lot of us grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. Like this is an important anime to a lot of people. So I'm not gonna like. So I do respect it. I mean, it's obviously overrated in some aspects, and it's not as good as some people remember it. Because of their nostalgia. But I think it's fair enough that I'll give it A tier. I would say they're both kind of lower on the A tier. Like I would almost drop them both to B tier because they're just not as good as some of the more modern anime. But I mean, for its time, I think it was great, and this is the anime that popular. Like if it wasn't Dragon Ball Z, I don't know like what anime would look like in this country, like whether it would have been translated or not, whether anime would be as popular as it is now. Maybe there would be some other anime that would open it up to the Western world, but Dragon Ball Z was the anime basically of the day. So that's actually what both of these anime have in common. One of both of these franchises, the Dragon Ball Z and Digimon Season 1 were like my first anime. Like when I watched them, I wasn't even interested in Japan at the time. I didn't know anything about Japan. I didn't think about learning Japanese. I wasn't interested in anything Asian at all. I was like fourth or fifth grade. But these two anime, like, I watched them and I enjoyed them. And then many years later, like a few years later, I think by around middle school, high school, that's when I became a huge anime fan. Once we got high speed internet and YouTube, then all of a sudden I was just watching all of this stuff. I was watching Naruto and on YouTube, and I just became a huge anime fan. But back in my early childhood, Dragon Ball Z and Digimon, I think that's where they started. I think they planted a seed. These two anime that later bore fruit, and I ended up watching. I think because of them, I think I ended up becoming a huge anime fan. Then we got Dragon Ball GT. Yeah, Dragon Ball GT C tier. It's kind of generic. I mean, it kind of loses all of its power from Dragon Ball Z. Like Dragon Ball GT kind of tries to go back to the Dragon Ball days where it's more adventure and less like super powered up people and everything, but it doesn't really make sense anymore because Dragon Ball Z, they're super powered and like really strong, and they pretty much nerfed everybody in Dragon Ball GT. So I don't know. Like that's the one problem that I have with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT in a way, and also Dragon Ball Super especially, is they nerfed like everybody. Like everybody got nerfed. Like I mean, like not like everybody got nerfed, but basically they're very inconsistent in power levels. Like Goku's always the strongest, and everyone else just isn't as good. Especially what they did to Gohan, that was just evil. Like they just and all the other characters, they just nerf them, and they're inconsistent with power levels. Like they'll randomly power up characters or randomly make them weak, and they're just very inconsistent in power progress. Some anime do that. They're very they don't play by their own rules. Like they set up rules and then they just start breaking the rules, and they don't pay attention to the rules they set up and the logic. And the Dragon Ball Z and Super and GT are especially inconsistent. I don't think I've ever seen an anime break its own rules as strongly as this franchise. Like you can tell Akira Toriyama, like does not care at all about consistency. He just makes sure Goku is always at the top. Like Goku will always win every battle, and he'll always be the strongest, and everyone else just kind of there, just to off to the side. So but the consistency and following the logic of the show, no, like no anime it does it as poorly as Dragon Ball Z, like of any famous anime. But Dragon Ball Z gets left off the hook because because of how because it's popularized anime. So there's a lot of nostalgia behind it, which is why people rank it so high. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know how to think about it. Maybe they really are B tier to be honest. I mean, because they really are overrated in many ways. Now Dragon Ball Super, maybe higher than Dragon Ball, but not as high as Z. I don't know. Like I don't think it would be fair to put Dragon Ball Super above Z, but Super, yeah, Super just has the same power level issues. They just randomly power people up. It gets a little interesting. I really enjoyed the last arc, to be honest, like the survival tournament arc. I thought it was a very interesting concept, very interesting. But like I already knew what was going to happen, and it's very cliche. You can predict what's going to happen, and that's just a common problem. And so I don't know. Like if I look go by like nostalgia and all that, I'll give it A tier. But honestly, if I'm being objective, like if I'm seriously being objective, then I honestly think they're all like B tier. GT is definitely C tier, but if I'm being objectively and like honest and fair, then Dragon Ball franchise is B. Like seriously, maybe high B tier, but it's B. Like it's not quite A level. They're definitely overrated in lots of ways. And the movies are even worse. The movies aren't even canon most of the time, and they're just almost all of them are like C tier. Like there's no even point in me analyzing the movies. Yeah, there's really not much to say there. Now Digimon, on the other hand, now I know some people probably love the Digimon franchise, but I mean, I love it. And some people would say Dragon Ball is better. I actually really enjoyed the Digimon franchise. So to tell you a story, like Digimon, the first season, I watched it back in like fourth grade, and I thought it was amazing. Like I loved it way more than Pokemon. The Pokemon anime was kind of generic. Digimon was just very interesting, and I don't know, like I could just keep watching it. So I watched it in fourth grade, and I loved it. Second season, not as much, but first season was great. Like the fourth grade me would put this at S tier. Like seriously, the fourth grade me would say this is S tier. Like even as a kid, I already liked Digimon more than Dragon Ball Z. Like maybe as a kid, I'd probably say Dragon Ball Z was A tier and Digimon was S tier. And now that I've watched more anime, I'm more picky and strict. So I think now Digimon's probably A tier. I watched it recently, in fact, I think within the last year I watched Digimon, and it was my first time watching it in 20 years. Like I watched it back as a little kid, then 20 years later I watched it again in just recently in Japanese, and I thought it was amazing. Like I mean, I couldn't give it an S tier anymore because I watched so many good anime since then. But seriously, 20 years later, I watched it. I'm a grown man, and I still liked it. Like I binged it. Like still a great anime, and I can't say that about very many anime. So Digimon, I still had fun. It just keeps you interested. This is how anime should be done. And yeah, the characters are a little young and all that, but despite the fact that it's aimed at like kids, it wasn't too cheesy or corny. Like it's much more interesting than many adult anime. To be honest, it does a better job of keeping your interest. It's like a kid anime that doesn't really feel like a kid's anime. It's still interesting. So yeah, Digimon, I think high A tier. High A tier, almost want to put it in S tier. Like it's still good. Like I have all of my S tier anime. Like there's a few S tier anime. I'm very picky about S tier. After all of my S tier anime, my highest A tier anime is Digimon. Like Digimon is like the next anime after all of my S tiers. Like that's how highly I value it. Then Digimon 2. Digimon 2 wasn't as good. I did not quite enjoy it as much as Digimon 1. I think I might put it below the Dragon Balls, like all three of them. I think it's kind of lower on the B tier end. It kind of lost a lot of its value. The newer characters just aren't as interesting. They add some Digimon, some of it's kind of lame. It gets kind of cheesy near the end. I feel like they kind of stretch it out and drag it out the story more. I feel like there isn't as much that happened, whereas Digimon 1 the stakes were higher and it felt more real. And I thought the story was just more impactful in Digimon One. Like it was more fresh. And Digimon Two just kind of lost a lot of its power. Like I said, very common for season one to be amazing and season two just to kind of lose a lot of it. Now then we have Digimon Three, Digimon Tamers, which is season three. I thought it was better. Like I don't know if it's quite A tier. Like I had fun with it, to be honest. Like I don't know where to put it. Like I think it feels weird putting it above Dragon Ball Z, to be honest. Even though, yeah, I think maybe mid B tier. I think it's a good solid. Like I enjoyed it. I think maybe around here, middle. Did you? Because the Digimon season two is kind of low in the B tier. Like I almost want to put it like upper C tier actually, but still solid. So this one right here. Digimon Tamers was very interesting. It doesn't follow the storyline of the first two. It's like a alternate reality. It takes place more like in the real world, and the whole card concept was kind of weird, but it does get interesting. It gets back some of the coolness of the first season. Um, yeah, it has its weaknesses, cringe moments, but I did enjoy it. I would say more than the second season, despite the card concept. And it does get I feel like it gets a little more childish. That is actually something I've noticed with the Digimon. Like the first two seasons seemed more mature. So yeah, Digimon Tamers was pretty cool, but not the best though, so I think I'll leave it in a mid B tier. Um, yeah, and it did seem like every season got a bit more childish. I will say, um, yeah, like the first two seasons seemed kind of mature, and then the third season was a bit more childish, and then the fourth season was felt very childish, actually, very kiddie. I think I'll put it in C tier. The Digimon Frontier, the fourth season. I mean, it's kind of cool how they can become Digimon. That was kind of an interesting concept, but other than that, it just ended up feeling kind of generic. I finished it, but it did start feeling kind of generic overall. It kind of lost, it just you can just kind of see it devolve. First season was amazing, second season went downhill, third season got a little better, then fourth season just completely fell apart. I mean, it was still okay though. But yeah, first two seasons I watched as a kid, in English, and then I started watching the third season, but got bored. Now as an adult, like a year ago, I all of a sudden I'm like, hey, yeah, let's watch all these old anime, as a kid, that I watched as a kid. So I rewatched the first two seasons in Japanese, and then I started watching the third and the fourth, and then I got bored, so I never got on to the others. But I did hear they progressively did get worse, and I think they got more and more childish as it went on. But yeah, the first two seasons were still really epic. I mean, first seasons especially. First season was really good. And then I also added Digimon Last Evolution and Digimon Try. The picture got messed up, so the reason I'm adding them is because although they are movies, but they do add a lot of extra material to the original anime. Like they actually add a lot of content, so that's why I felt like there should be separate entries. To Digimon, I actually really like this one. It just kind of Digimon Last Evolution. It just kind of finalized everything, like holistically, just kind of put everything together, and just kind of finalized it. Just the first the first two seasons. Just it's the conclusion of all of it, and so I thought it was a really cool story, and how they just kind of ended it. How like this is it, this is the end, and I mean I won't spoil the ending, but yeah, it's. So I just thought that was a really unique concept how they went about this movie right here. Then we have Digimon Try, which yeah, Digimon Try wasn't very good. Maybe super low B tier. I don't know if that's fair, or maybe like high C tier, but it did feel kind of generic. Um, I mean, it's kind of cool because you see the cast of the first season as adults, and like, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, they're older, you know. Some time passes, but like overall, like I mean, I don't know. It was just kind of cheesy. Like they just dragged it out. Like it ended up falling into a lot of cliches. Like it could have been really cool. Like the concept could have been really cool because you get to see the characters, you know, a few years older, and you get to see, you know, what they've been doing, and you know, you mean they have these new super evolutions. Like that's really awesome. Like this could have been good, but it ended up being kind of it would kind of ended up being kind of a letdown for the fans of the series. So Digimon Try just didn't really live up to the expectations. So I think super high C tier, maybe low B tier, but yeah, I just feel like it didn't quite live up to the hype. So yeah, I think I'm being a little strict here. Like, I mean, nothing in S tier, just one thing in S tier, everything's in B tier. But um, that's because, like, yeah, they are good. Like Digimon first season, I still have very fond memories of it. Dragon Ball Z, yeah, I don't know. Dragon Ball Z does have a lot going for it. Like it was cool, but it just kind of lost. Um, I don't know. I think maybe if it wasn't so dragged out, I would probably have a higher opinion of it, and it wouldn't lose like a lot of the, you know, a lot of the power. But I would probably put it super low in A tier if I was going to put it there. You know, just to make this list a little more balanced. I think I'll put it up in A tier. So yeah, it seems like I'm being really critical, but like, oh, Digimon and Dragon Ball were like, that's where I started. Like these two right here, Digimon first season, Dragon Ball Z, like these are my first two animes. So you know, so I'm gonna think highly of them. Okay, so stay tuned next time for another video.